All right. Welcome in, everyone. Yeah, I had to do a little bit of a wardrobe change. It's Friday, Kevin. Happy,
Oh, yeah.
I guess, post opening day. I think everyone's trying to come down from the high that was opening day in Baltimore. We weren't going to do this, Kevin. We said, screw it. Vibes are
Yeah.
high. Hope all of you are doing well. Kevin, how are you feeling? You were at the game.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, I was. I got there. I missed the whole orange carpet ceremony because I took the light rail down and the light rail stopped midway through, as it does a lot of the time. And they said this train isn't moving until further notice. And I said, well, does that mean 5 minutes? Does that mean an hour? Ended up being about 15, but it was still the vibes were electric. The national anthem, "Oh," which is always electric, it felt even more electric this time around, and a really special start to, what I think is going to be a super special season for the Orioles.
It really was. And I think for so many reasons yesterday, I'm still so damn tired. I'll be honest, but I would do that shit all over and over again. For people that want to know how our timeline's been the last few days, Wednesday, we do the interview at Camden Yards with David Rubenstein and my father. And then because we took 3/4 of our studio to the warehouse, then went back to the special with Tim Kirchin and Rick Dempsey and Mike Bordick, Jason Benowitz, who's beloved on Orioles Twitter, and then Jeff Arnold, Orioles broadcaster, all in one night. And then there's yesterday where it felt, honestly, kind of feels like a dream, Kevin. I think that if you could draw up, besides it kind of being a little bit more of a being sunnier and being 75 and beautiful and no clouds in the sky, the vibe's probably the most immaculate they have been at Oriole Park at Camden Yards in quite some time.
Yeah, people were excited. And I know that, Corbin gets on the mound, has those first 2 outs, and then gives up the homer to Trout. And everyone's like, oh, what's this? Is he still struggling? And then what does he do what does he do for the rest of his outing? Literally just pure, utter domination. Some dirty pitches, or as you like to say, Ryan, some naughty pitches that Corbin Burnes threw there. We're going to break them down. But, he was just making Angels hitters look silly. And then obviously you have one of my favorites was I was right down by like the birdbath area. And you see Trout be like inches away from robbing Mullins on that homer, but you can't rob the robber. And as your shirt says there, no friends between the lines. There you go. Look at that. So super fun day at the Yard. I think everybody, they felt the energy that was going on.
No doubt about it. Actually, I was just coming into the stadium when Trout hit the jack, because I was finishing up doing the pregame with 105.7 The Fan over at Pickles, and Pickles was bumping, by the way. Like, this was the vibe, honestly, the whole time at Pickles. People were just bumping, crushes were flowing, everyone was feeling great, and, it led right over into the game. And also, by the way, because I see people tuning in, I've through the last few days for us, Kevin, we've gotten a lot of different subscribers, new people from all over. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I love hearing that we have fans that are either in the Maryland region, which is the obvious one, or Oriole fans in the Maryland region. And then they can be from different countries, different parts of the United States, and people just coming together for Birdland, especially too, Kevin. We've talked about it a little bit, but it's been obviously a trying week in the city as far as for everything that happened with the Francis Scott Key Bridge, the accident, the tragedy. And that was Baltimore's hurting in some cases, and it was almost an anxious feeling on top of it. And so what sports does is it's not going to fix the problems, but it can help heal and it can help distract. And I thought yesterday was a perfect example of the city coming together and really understanding how powerful it can be when everyone wants to enjoy the team that they love, and that is the Baltimore Orioles. So where do we want to start with this, Kevin? Because I think we talked about the vibes. They were high. David Rubenstein's out taking pictures. I'm proud of my dad getting low on the first pitch.
Did a good job. Did a really good job.
I thought over or under 3 inches he was going to get low, but he actually squatted down.
He got down there. Yeah.
He really did. But so why don't, because I think this is, do I just start with a review of like personally what I thought with it, or how do you think we should go about it?
Yeah, I think breaking it down, just like, with them going down 1-0 and then them bouncing back. And it just felt like, and I think Zach was the one that put it out, where they got back in it over the first 2 innings. And Zach's like, well, now they always have to score a run every inning. Like, you did it to yourselves. And, 11-3 is a heck of a win, but I think people are the most excited about Corbin Burnes. So I think it's kind of hard not to start there, where, again, the homer to Trout was his only hit he gave up in 6 innings. And the most impressive part to me, those 11 strikeouts, I cannot get over how dirty some of those curveballs looked, those cutters. He was dealing the entire time he was out there.
Yeah, and you know what? And this is through this review of the game, you're going to understand for people why it's so special. And all the people out there, and I get it, you can get nervous, but this is why spring training to certain veterans just does not mean jack squat. It doesn't. And for Corbin Burnes, clearly he was ready for opening day. I think he did quite all right when you allow 1 run. And this is the biggest thing for me, Kevin, 0 walks. I will break down here. I have some highlights up that we can focus on of why I thought this game was really, it embodied what the Baltimore Orioles can be. They can be a team that's going to be gritty, tough, fight every at bat. And then, by the way, if you take advantage on a mistake, which is the pitch that Trout hit it out, and Trout's one of the best players in the world, well, you better be ready for what's next. And Corbin Burnes said, no more. That's it. Right. And he just bulldozed his way to an impressive opening day. And honestly, probably the most impressive opening day I can imagine, or I can, remember for a pitcher making his debut in Baltimore. Yeah. It was incredible. And the other part I'll say, and Brandon right there, you pulled it up, 11 Ks, 80 pitches thrown. Yeah, that was pretty damn efficient. And people were going, wait, Hyde's pulling him early. I thought Corbin Burnes going 6 innings was the goal checklist because it's early on in the season. It was a cold day, perfect start to the year, and you have a day off. Let your guys in the bullpen get a little bit of work. Everyone needs their work. You just don't want to overuse them. Worst case scenario was the Angels. The Angels saying, oh, hey, Sandoval, we need you to at least give us something. And he can't go past, the 2nd inning was it yesterday? Because of these Orioles hitters. That's taxing the bullpen for the rest of the series and for their first couple weeks here in 2024.
Yeah, the Orioles and their bats gave Burnes a lead after he initially gave up the homer. And then he was just on cruise control for the rest of the time. But the crazy thing with Burnes is that his cruise control is just domination. And then he has another 5 different gears he can hit after that, where it's like the Orioles haven't had, and this is no disrespect to anybody recently, but they haven't had an ace like this in a really, really long time. And to have a guy like that, you have Bradish coming back at some point, you have Grayson Rodriguez and John Means, all these guys, and you can even talk about Tyler Wells and Dean Kramer, Cole Irving, but Burnes is your guy. And he showed yesterday, and yes, you can say, oh, well, it was the Angels. It doesn't matter who it was. Burnes is throwing those pitches against any team. Some teams will hit him better than others, but that's a guy who's going to go out there, and I would trust him in any situation because he showed it in Milwaukee for all those seasons. And I think Tim said it great on the live stream where you want him pitching. I know the whole contract year is a big thing about, with the Boris, is he going to get re-signed? What's the money going to look like? Contract year is one of the best situations the Orioles can have right now because Burnes is going out there, and we've seen it. It's every single sport, not just baseball. It's football. It's basketball, where guys on contract years, they can go out there and have career years. And if Burnes has a career year, we're talking historic numbers because he's already been so good. So I'm expecting a lot from Burnes. Obviously, expectations are high because he's so good. It was just really cool to go out there and see a guy like that dominate, regardless of who the team he was playing was.
Well, these are major league hitters, by the way, and this is not a bad team. I know that the Angels, their question mark, really, honestly, is more on the pitching side.
Right.
But their lineup, Anthony Rendon, people forget because of all the injuries and what people are thinking is his commitment to the game, which I think that's a stretch, but I understand he sometimes might be saying things to the media that maybe he could word differently. But they have talented players. Mike Trout, when he plays, is still a top 5 player in all baseball. No ands, ifs, or buts. The dude is unbelievable. He's one of the best players to ever play the game. The Orioles' job and objective, win each series or don't get swept. That was my motto last year. And what do you do on opening day? You go out there, you get the opening day win, and now you put yourself in a position, go win again on Saturday, and you win a series. Now you're playing with house money. It's not easy to sweep teams in Major League Baseball, but it is very attainable to go out there and go win series after series. The Baltimore Orioles did that a lot. They're off to a great start. Things are incredible to see. And I think that people need to understand that this Baltimore Orioles team has so many different facets, but it's the little things that they did yesterday that puts so much pressure on opposing teams. And I know that might be a lot for people, but that was just those are a few of the moments that I noticed yesterday that really got me excited for Orioles baseball this year.
Yeah, and it's those little things too, where Corbin Burnes, and you talked about it there, like the situational awareness, how to use his pitches in the strike zone. How do you recover from giving up that Trout Herman? Well, you mentioned he attacks him with cutters the entire way, and him using the whole strike zone too. We saw on that Trout at bat, puts one right towards the middle-ish of the plate and then up high, like center of the box, but a little up. The second one then goes high again, but puts it on the outer part of the strike zone. And then on that Mullins home run, I was so impressed with how he went up and got that ball. I mean, that's not an easy pitch to hit. And it was coming at him. It was going. He goes and gets it. And Trout missed it by like 6 inches or a foot. He did not miss it by much. But to me, it's like you pair a guy like Corbin Burnes in this Orioles rotation, which you're hoping, you get another good year from Grayson Rodriguez, or at least, struggled earlier in the year last year, but then got it together late. You hope you have a full, consistent year from Grayson. Obviously, when Bradish comes back, that's a huge boost. Means comes back, another huge boost. You pair this lineup with that rotation and hopefully great bullpen play from guys like Mike Baumann and others. You get Craig Kimbrell in that closing role, Cano stepping up, hopefully. And it's like, well, where are the weaknesses as everything goes right? Now, again, that's if everything goes right. There are going to be things that happen during a season with every team where you're like, all right, this isn't living up to the expectations we had. But this was about as good of a, hey, we're here moment in an opening day moment that you could ask for, because I think, as you talked about earlier, the city definitely needed this. People understand how special the season can be, and it wasn't a letdown. I mean, the lineup was absolutely crushing balls. Burnes was awesome. The bullpen did a great job too. It was just a 3-level performance from the Orioles that I was really impressed with watching. And I think it's things that people are looking forward to, but to see it in action, just it's a whole different feeling.
No doubt about that, Kevin. There is so many different angles that we can go, and it's just one game, right? But you hope when everything starts off, can you get off to a good start? And the Orioles off to a great start. And that's what you like to see with your ball club. And one thing I will say, Dylan Tate got the pitch. I was so happy that Tate was back out there. I don't care how the results went. Yeah, he gave up a run. He gave up 2 runs, 1 earned. Who cares? That's all part of it. But there's a lot of good things that happened here. And Zach even brought it up, and I don't know where the hell Zach is at the moment, but all Ryan O'Hearn does is produce when his number is called. Ryan O'Hearn pinch hit late for Jordan Westberg, and he opens up his 2024 campaign with a double down the right field line. Hey, how you doing? Hanging breaking ball, gets the job going. And this is what actually is what's so deep about this Orioles team, is anybody can come off the bench and make an impact, and so far so good with the Baltimore Orioles. I saw this comment here about Mountie batting third. I kind of wanted to explain that a little bit here, saying, well, why is Mountie batting third? Well, Mountie, to me personally, and I told people this before, he was the best pure hitter I saw coming through the system when I was starting. So I came to the Orioles in 2017, and I always thought Mountie just had everything, could hit anything. That's not saying anything with Gunnar and Adley. They came after I was already, there for a little bit. Mountie was already on the rise up at the time, okay? But Ryan Mountcastle, especially when he hits left-handed pitching, he hit 338 last year against lefties with 12 jacks. So that's why Mountie's hitting third, is because the dude just absolutely annihilates left-handed pitching, Kev.
Yeah, and to me, this is where, like, you look at this lineup and you have Adley and Gunnar and Mountie and Mullins and all, Tony Taters and everybody. And I know you're just like, where are the holes in this lineup right now? Where, again, you're batting a guy like Mullins. Mullins bat, 7th yesterday, if I'm not mistaken? 6th, 7th? A guy like that on a lot of different teams is not batting that low. He's a guy that can give you so much. So you have the power, you have speed with guys like Mateo. It's just, to me, sure, there are some holes. And again, I think once Jackson gets here, we're going to have different conversations, but that's not saying guys like Urias are terrible players. Like, Urias is a quality guy that can step up. I know it's not the excitement factor that a Jackson is. I mean, again, we've talked about that decision a lot, you and I and Zach and everybody, Ryan. But this lineup to me is just so dangerous. And I think I saw the comment where it's like, Sandoval isn't a slouch. Like, he's not this like back of rotation pitcher. And the fact that the Orioles got him to not even go 2 innings yesterday just shows how good and how dangerous this lineup is against anybody in the league. They can go up against anybody. And that's what makes it so exciting for me, at least.
Yeah, I think also it just reminds you again, when you keep battling, and that's why I'm saying not giving in on strikeouts and keeping the pitch count up. And that's what the Orioles were doing. They were making that. It was making Sandoval not uncomfortable, but frustrated. Because Sandoval had chances to put guys away. You saw it in the videos that I showed. That was just a small sample size. Over and over and over again, when a pitcher, and this is in the back of their minds, if like you're like a guy like Corbin Burnes, where it's just you're taking the soul away from the hitter because you don't walk a guy and you're just mowing them down, that's demoralizing as a hitter. But if you're a pitcher that you can't put guys away, it gives confidence to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy to be like, wow, I can continue to battle. I just got to stay in it, stay in the fight. And that was the constant theme for the Baltimore Orioles. And then you actually saw that theme for the Angels the entire day. The next pitcher that came in, Suarez, same thing, where it just felt like he was trying to just battle, but the Orioles did not make it easy for him. He ends up eating innings, but the Orioles still got 3 runs and continued to take over. And it never felt like this game was going to be in doubt after the second inning. So really awesome to see. I'm excited. I'm happy. And from the wrath of Ryan here, Mateo offers so much for this team. If he can constantly hit over 250, he's amazing based on what he can do. Mateo's talent is never questioned. I think that's what people say. It's not a talent issue with Mateo. It's a consistency issue. And you're right. He causes problems when he gets on the base paths, and he can have some pop if he can go out there and just be a little bit more consistent with the bat. He can do a lot of good things for this team. That's why the Orioles wanted him in the lineup on day one. So it's definitely going to be a lot different as we move forward for days 2 and 3. But Kev, hell of a start.
Oh, I know. It was incredible. How did you like Hyde's lineup for Westy at DH? I mean, was there anything you tinker with, or did you like it?
I was laughing because I saw Westy before the game and went in the clubhouse it's open to the media portion with that, and I went in there. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm DH. I'm like, you're DHing, Westy? He's like, oh, I'm just, he goes, yeah. He goes, he's just used to being out in the field. But he goes, this is the mentality that I love with this Orioles team, though. He goes, any way I can get in the lineup and help the team. Any way I can get in there. And I'm like, dude, and I even said it to his face. And I can do the mainly explicit version. I just said, you're going to fucking rake this year. You are going to have a fantastic year, and you have the right mindset. And just talking to him, I can tell he feels more comfortable with who he is as a big leaguer going into this year. And honestly, Jordan could have had 2 hits. Rendon made a hell of a play on the ball in the hole, and Westy smoked that ball. So it's really going to be I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Westburg is going to be a guy that you're going to hear little of the rest of the year. He's in line for a big year. The one comment here, Mateo. This was probably the question of with Mateo playing second. Yeah, Mateo didn't play a lot of games at second, even in spring training, or he didn't play a lot of outfield in spring training. So it felt like seeing him over there. He's a good athlete, but it is different playing second base on turns and whatnot. Even Mike Bordix talked about the transition. And for any of you guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We just had videos out with Bordick and Dempsey and Kirchin, but Bordy talked about the transition of playing short and second and your footwork and how that all works. So if you are interested in all of that, please go check it out. And he made it.
There. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm getting slandered. Got the Mike Trout home run blamed on me. Had to come defend myself.
All right,
but
let's hear it.
Well, first I wanted to the big thing I wanted to come in and actually talk about was the message the Orioles, I believe, sent to Corbin Burnes yesterday. A lot of people talking about how impressed they are with Corbin Burnes. Obviously, 6 innings, 1 hit, 11 Ks. Guy gives up a home run in his first inning here. All of a sudden, after that, it was a little interesting. The vibes in the park, it's like, oh boy, okay. And the Orioles go out and go, no, it doesn't matter. We got you. Here's 2. Here's 2 runs. We got you the lead. Next inning, he goes, shuts it down. They said, okay, here's 3 more. And just establishing the fact of they gave him that kind of like, hey, you go out and do your thing, and we're going to make things happen. You don't have to be perfect here, and we can still help you win games.
Yeah. I'm chewing ice. Call me in around time. Kevin, is this better for volume?
Yeah, you're good now.
Well, one thing, and this also kind of for me goes without saying, but Ryan was saying, give Adley some credit on defense for the game called working with Corbin. I always say when things go really well, it means that it's almost like a statement of the catcher is the backbone of the team. When people talk about having a backbone, and we're looking at these great teams over years, and we talked to Rick Dempsey about this too, Adley is not always going to get the credit for all this, but it's a testament if the pitching staff's done well, and it's no surprise to me. Yes, there's a lot of great talent on the team, pitchers-wise. The coaches are great, but the consistency since Adley came up is he's been behind home plate. So I think it's no one not giving credit to Adley. It's just also becoming routine that you have a guy back there that people trust, and that he's going out there and putting players in a very good position to let them showcase their skills. And that's why Adley is the reason why when everyone says you can talk about the moment when the Orioles changed, he came up and he changed the Orioles in so many different ways. Specifically, then, he's become such a backstop and a constant force or constant presence behind home plate.
Yeah, he's been a leader. I mean, he's someone that, he takes so much time. And I think, Zach, you were the one that put this out about him going up to Corbin and, right as they're walking off the field together, seeing that. And it's not just a Corbin thing, obviously, but like seeing him do that and take that leadership role with this team. This is a young Orioles team. And you can talk about, who are going to be the quote unquote leaders on this team. And they have veteran leaders. Like, I'm not saying no, like they have Cedric Mullins, and they have, obviously Burnes himself being a veteran, he's going to come in and hopefully establish himself as well. And Hayes and all these players. But to me, I think that having your backstop be that type of player who obviously is, one, just a really good baseball player, but two, a young leader like that. Not a lot of teams have an opportunity to get a guy like that, who's not just a phenomenal baseball player, but someone who has really grown into his role since he's come up. And that video of him, his first ever game up in the big leagues, and him kind of taking in the moment, that video still gets circulated to this day. He cares. He cares so much. And I think some young guys, they can get a little bit engulfed by the moment. I think the moment's never been too big for Adley. Every player has their struggles. Every player has to adjust. But I think Adley has done it in such a professional way. It's been really cool to see his growth, and he's not done. He's nowhere near done, and that's the scary part for opposing teams, but a great thing for Orioles and their fans.
Yeah, like you said, it was that second Adley got up here, and everything changed because it doesn't matter, from the first day if the pitcher just gave up 10 runs or if he just struck out the side on 9 pitches, he goes out to them every single time. And it's, that consistency. It's that element that, like you said, Kevin, he cares. And he has been that leader since day one. It's tough for a guy when it's his first year in the big leagues, when Adley first came up, to say, hey, I want to take over as a leader. But he did it, and no one questioned it. That's just who he is he's such a natural leader.
Yeah. And the thing for Adley or anybody, and this is the case, I asked David Rubenstein this, but because over other interviews outside of the Orioles ownership, David Rubenstein talked about different ways to lead and leading by example, if there's rules that are written or you're being vocal. And Adley, to me, isn't necessarily a vocal or he's going to have these rules. He's a guy that leads by example, and his vocal leadership is really just for his pitching staff of the confidence. Hey, I got you. I got you. We'll keep working on that. And no matter what happens, we're going to get through it. And that's I think been the beauty of it, is that when you have someone behind home plate, I'm telling you, it changes a pitcher's mindset in so many different ways. If you have a catcher that can call a good game that makes you feel better, if you have a catcher that can block and make every play that you know it's not going to get away to, because that's another thing for guys that if they got to waste a pitch or they're doing a throwaway pitch, Rick, you're right. He's an MVP caliber switch hitting beast and a great clubhouse guy. But players, it's a confidence level, and it helps that he's a great stinking dude that people love, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. Obviously, we talk about the Jackson Holidays, we talk about the Gunnar Hendersons, but when you think about the face of the Baltimore Orioles, especially with this core, it's Adley Rutschman, and it's, you know, maybe he doesn't end up being the best of the three or of the group, but just the things he does that you can't see on a stat sheet, that he does every single game. It doesn't matter if he's not playing, if he's playing his best baseball ever. He's the same person day in, day out, and helps the team consistently, even when he's not playing his best. And that's what makes him truly special.
Yeah, I think it's crazy too to say like, oh, he might not be the best out of those three. I mean, just the fact that the Orioles have all three of these guys on the same team. Adley would be the best player on probably more than half of MLB teams. But the fact the Orioles are so deep right now, it's so cool to just have this influx of young talent. This is what they've been building. I mean, I think that's the other cool part of it, is like we've kind of seen this vision, but we've been kind of imagining what it could look like. We understood what it was. And sometimes there were moments where it's like, okay, where is this team going? What's the plan? But there was always an, all right, we're going to trust our young guys, and we're going to make sure that we put them on the best path for success. And while, again, not every move has been perfect, no team in professional sports has every move that goes perfectly. This is kind of what Orioles fans have been waiting for, is, you know, not everybody's up yet. Obviously, I think Jackson's the like quote unquote final piece to that, but we're close and we've seen it. Yeah. Around with the quotes. So we're close to it. And the fact that opening day went so well and both the offense was humming, pitching was awesome, it just felt like the vibes were there. I mean, Zach, what was your impression? We didn't get to hear, you know, your just general thoughts on the day and just the vibes at Camden Yards. I know you were feeling yourself.
It was truly one of those days where you look back and it's one of the greatest days in Orioles history. I mean, if you think about, take into account everything that happened with Rubenstein, you know, being announced a new owner, just the incredible Corbin Burnes, you know, putting on that dominant performance in his Orioles debut. You have Cedric Mullins going yard, Tony hitting his tater. And it really just pretty much from the moment you got down there, just how everything was, just the feeling down in Baltimore. There was that Orioles magic feeling again. It was that type where you could just, it was infectious. Everyone was happy. Everyone's just excited for this ball club, and it carries into the stadium. And you know, these players feel that as well, because I will still never get over the first O on opening day. Just, there's nothing like it. There really is. You can see the chills on the players. I get chills when it happens. And this was a beautiful start to the 2024 campaign.
It really is. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was exhausting. It was a little bit of everything, you know, and, but like I said, it really is a next chapter. And I will say this is not me being a downer here, Ryan, of like, oh, Orioles suck. No, this isn't it. But baseball's hard. I think the Orioles, they were my prediction. They were going to get to the World Series this year and win it. But to win 100 games again, the Orioles haven't done that in consecutive years. And I don't even have the stats ready for it right now for me.
70s,
my point is, the goal for the Orioles is to be healthy and win the AL East. Mm-hmm. You do that, then get into the playoffs and see what happens. But the Orioles are going to lose games. I hate being the downer. They will not go 162-0. If they do, then I will do whatever anyone wants me to do. And I mean anything.
Yeah. You'll name this the Zach Bollinger Show?
Maybe not that far, but you know.
Yeah, that's too far. Too far.
But people forget the Orioles lost 61 games last year in the regular season. 101 win team loses 61 games. So you're going to have bad days. It's all about staying consistent and understanding that, like you said, Ryan, baseball's hard. If you fail 7 out of 10 times that you're asked to go to the plate, you're a 300 hitter and you're going to Cooperstown. So that's what it's all about, is you're going to fail. It's a game of failure. And it's just the Orioles, even when things aren't going well, they find a way to squeak out wins, to get wins that people don't think they should get. And that's where the fun is. That's what's so fun about this group, is they never feel like they're ever out of a game, even if they're not playing well. If they're getting no hit into the 6th inning, that doesn't matter. They go up to the plate with the exact same mindset every single time. And it is hard to beat a team that refuses to quit.
And
they do what they did yesterday.
Yeah, they're good. They're
going to win a lot of games.
Yeah. I also think, that Zach's point there is exactly what Ryan was talking about earlier with like that mindset. They were battling all day at the plate yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ryan was talking about it with the 2 strikes and getting through and not giving in to saying, oh, I'm behind 0-2 or I'm behind 1-2. Is this going to end in a strikeout for me? They go up there with that mindset of, all right, I'm hitting this thing and I'm getting on base. And we saw that over the course of the day yesterday. Plus, I think these first couple of months are a really big opportunity for the Orioles to just gain momentum and stack some wins. We talked a couple of days ago on the show about how brutal that June stretch is. If they can get some momentum in April and May heading into that month, I think it could not only, obviously if they stack wins, are going to be at the top of the standings, but it's also going to give them hopefully some momentum into that month, because we talk about how good some of these teams are they're going to face, but we can't forget the Orioles are also one of those good teams. This isn't like they're going into this and they're saying, oh, they're playing the top of the top every single time. Well, the Orioles also are in that conversation. So the fact that they have that stretch in June, we're going to find out a lot about them then, but we're also going to find out a lot about them here in April and May. And the team that it is now, when we talk about this in September or obviously hopefully October, they're going to be 2 different teams, but this is where the foundation starts. And obviously game 1, opening day, they put a heck of a base down for that foundation.
Yeah. Heck of a base. And you know what? Also, there was a heck of a lot of drinks being drunk at Camden Yards, around Camden Yards. I mean, the ownership group too were buying beers up at the Coors Light deck. I mean, could not have asked. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Damn right. I'm just mad I wasn't up there for it. That's the only thing I'm mad about.
I was on the light rail, yeah.
Yeah, it happened at Pickles and at the Coors Light deck, and both times I was like in the vicinity, but not aware of what was happening and couldn't. So missed opportunities by me. Hand up, that happens. But it's incredible vibes all around yesterday, and that's what part of it. It starts with the ownership. If you have an ownership that's going to invest in making sure fans genuinely enjoy this team and love Orioles baseball and want to come support, it helps. It truly does help. And
we saw, I think it was
haven't in a few years.
I'll tell my dumb story of the day right now because of this. I think I might have, Zach and Ryan might have know this, but I look like, especially without the mustache, which will be going in I think about a week. So we'll get back to babyface me, which looks like I'm 12. I have been carded at family events before. Yes.
What do you mean you've been carded at family events?
Like, like at family events, like we had a big family event and like, it was my aunt and uncle and they hired like an outside, like bar, liquor service, whatever. And I was essentially like going up there to get a drink and I didn't have my ID on me. I had left it because this was in Virginia. I left my wallet at home by accident. And the outside bar service was like, all right, can we see your ID? And they didn't card anybody. It was literally just me. It was only me because I looked like I'm 12. And I'm like, no, I forgot my ID. And I couldn't get a drink. I was carded and I couldn't get a drink at a family event. So I'm not sure that would happen.
Your family couldn't be like, hey, he's actually fine.
No, because it was an outside service. So they're like, we have protocols.
But was it okay? Were you at an event or were you at a house?
It was at a house, which was the crazy.
Oh my God, Kevin.
But it was an outside service, so they had their protocols. And so I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
Kevin, I've never been. If the outside service, you know what? I digress. They're just doing their jobs. You're right. They're doing their jobs. And we appreciate the laws because I would never do something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. I was of age to drink, by the way. I just forgot my ID. Was not trying to do anything illegal. So just want to.
You're a good kid.
There was
you're a good kid,
I'm
Kevin.
trying to find a comment. Here we go, Ryan. Zach and I weren't around, or maybe Zach, I think you might have been around at this point. But Rick saying you said they'd won 102 in September. Is that true?
Last year, yeah.
I can still see it, but it's hard. Baseball's hard.
I think
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard for sure.
Love this comment. You will win 50, you will lose 50. It's the other 62. And it's true. You're going to lose games, you're going to win games. It's going to be those middle games of anything can happen. Is how many of those can you claw and scratch and pull out wins?
Claw and scratch and claw.
Yeah, all of them. The whole nine.
Nice.
By the way, Ryan, some people do appreciate my my comments. By the way, thank you. I appreciate this.
Lucky Charms.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms, Kevin.
That's true. Pot of gold. The end of the rainbow.
Yeah, I can't wait. I also did talk with Pickles with Tom yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, sorry, we can't do the hot dog race today." I'm like, "Well, no chance we're doing it." I'm like, "In the summer." He's like, "Oh yeah, you want to do it in the summer?" I'm like, "Yeah, like on the weekday. Maybe not everyone's coming to the yard that day." Damn right, I'm going to put Kevin in a relish costume.
You know what we could do is we could do like some sort of like Ryan Ripken Show meetup or like get together, and we could have the hot dog race on that day, so we get like the full audience going, you know. Because I'm going to be relish on. By the way, we haven't talked about it yet. By the way, who won the hot dog race yesterday? Does anybody know?
Yeah, that was Mustard was robbed. It was
How
all.
were they robbed?
I think Relish cheated. I didn't want to say yes.
No, Relish just had the heart. Didn't give up. Didn't give in.
Oh, it was on the slide too. Like it, because obviously, like you can sort of tell if you've watched enough of them. Like Mustard fell early on, and I was like, "That's massive! Like this is going to be the comeback story one."
Yeah.
And then Mustard took the lead. Like at the end, I was like, "Here we go." Relish with a slide was just. I mean, well played, brilliantly.
You know, because again, you're right, Zach. If you've been doing enough games, you kind of know how they work, and so like. The one who's ahead rounding third never wins. It's always one of the two behind. And so I saw Relish fall at the very end, like right before rounding third. And I'm like, all right, there's a chance. And then yes, I will stand forever by. And I know we have some Relish supporters in the chat alongside me. So I'll be the leader of that group. I know I think I saw a tweet, Ryan, that said you were too busy skinning your hot dog to watch the race. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah. Well, I already told the story. When I was younger, I choked on a hot dog because the texture of the skin of the hot dog, it messed with me. Okay, I'm not hiding anything, Kevin. I'm not eating.
I'm not saying you are
throwing out marshmallows or just whatever the hell you're doing. Yes, and Kevin is literally relishing the victory, pun intended. Oh God, I like you guys sometimes. No, Zach, you're fine today. Kevin, it's up there.
The Kevin meter,
Kevin meter.
The relish win made me insufferable.
We might have to do that. Have a Rocco meter that like sits and like if he reaches too high, he just gets off the show. I saw our good sponsor Adam's Jeep at the opening day too. That came over, and I was just saying, I'm like, you know what? Like, if you guys need us to give Rocco more shit, I will do it for you guys. I will make sure that it's possible. Yeah.
I'm looking at the comments. And by the way, we talked about earlier with the community, and this is where I'm off topic here for a second, but the community at Oriole Park was great. Baltimore, just the city loves the Orioles and the team, and that's what makes it special. But for us here, all of you guys makes this special. So we appreciate each and every one of you. So hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We know we have a lot of people that have been with us before that I see, and we appreciate it. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Probably get off here in a minute so then I can figure out what the heck I'm doing with my Friday.
I love Team Mustard.
What do you got, Zach?
Team Mustard coming out. Unlike the Orioles, Relish will not have a winning record. Team Mustard. Hell yeah, Sean. That's what it's all about. Roll Dons.
Speaking of rolled ons, there's a if you are new to the channel that haven't kept up with us over the last couple of days, we had a very hectic. Oh, I see that. I don't know if I have a Quaker thing. I went to friend school, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
So we are like kind of in that bubble. And Mr. David Rubenstein himself gave some love to Zach's Dons on Ryan's interview with him. So obviously Ryan sat down with both a guy that Ryan knows just a little, in Cal Ripken Jr. You know him a tiny bit, Ryan? Just a little?
We met once at a grocery store.
Oh, wow. That must have been big.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a big appetite. Actually, he does love going to the grocery store. Like, he lives for it. I've never seen a guy get that eager about wanting to go shopping for food, but I get it. He loves it. And speaking of that, he's brought up Rubenstein and Power Zone trading. Wonder who that could be, guys. But haven't actually talked about the interview since it aired.
Yeah.
Speaking about Rubenstein and my dad, I guess we kind of. I guess since we aired it, it's true.
I have the clip of the next chapter just on my computer if you want me to play it right now.
Of like the full clip of his answer.
It's like, yeah, 2 minutes long.
Yeah, sure. Play it, and then we can wrap it up, and I can go get some tequila and / workout. Tequila and working out, actually, I think go hand in hand.
Have you done that before?
Yes.
I've never done that before.
Kevin, there are some things with Rip After Dark that you.
Yeah, we're working on that. It's gonna be I'm excited to see how it ends up.
Rocco called me yesterday when he was saying about stuff that was going with the locker room. I go, "Oh, Rock, you have no idea. That's like PG because you guys are there. You don't even know."
I did.
You
I
don't
did
even
see Rocco. I saw Rocco post game. I was walking out of the stadium and I see all the lights flash. I was like, "Who's filming?" I was like, "Oh my god, it's Rocco!" So of course I had to go over there.
Crazy.
Imagine spending 3.5 hours with Rocco in the morning. We were live.
Got to give a shout out to everybody here, man. Ryan, Zach, Brad, Rocco. Even I'll pat myself on the back a little bit. I mean, the amount of sheer work that was put behind that. I mean, I'm just impressed with this whole team. So
yeah,
it's been a grind of a couple days, and I have the next chapter here too. So essentially, again, Ryan sat down with David Rubenstein and his dad, Corbin Jr., and asked about that next chapter David Rubenstein's been talking about, and I think he got a lot of people fired up.
Praise next chapter the most, Mr. Rubenstein. What to you is the next chapter for the Orioles and for the city of Baltimore?
Well, the next chapter really means that we have a new ownership team. The torch has been passed to a new group of owners, including Cal Ripken. And what we want to do is make this team the pride of Baltimore once again, and make it a team that everybody wants to be associated with and everybody wants to attend the games. And so it's a new chapter. I think the Angelos family deserves some credit for what they did over the 30 years. But now we have a new chapter and a new group of owners, and we're going to look toward the future.
Dad, anything to add? Final words?
I mean, that's pretty thorough. Is that the Orioles organization to me was always a place where people wanted to come play, and they looked at it as they knew what they were doing baseball wise. The front office was really great, and yeah, there's some ups and downs over time in history, but certainly that Oriole pride has been restored. We're looked upon now as one of the best baseball organizations, a great group of young talent, and so that's a good expectation to have. Maybe hard to live up to. They won 101 games last year, but it's a good team, and the best you can say going in, do they have a good shot at the playoffs? And they do.
I believe so. I think this is everyone's been waiting for that.
We do.
We do.
I think everyone thinks this is the golden age, the new golden age of Baltimore baseball. This was the time we mentioned 60s, 70s, and 80s. We think we're about to go into a new age of that. #1 farm system and one of the most talented rosters. Should be a fun and exciting time. But Mr. Rubenstein, Dad, I really appreciate you guys taking the time.
And I hope you win the MVP, most valuable podcaster.
That's all I got from that interview was the last part. Was most valuable podcaster.
He had that on deck, like it was locked and loaded. That's what's impressive about that. I want to know at what point did he think of that, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm ending it with this."
Yeah, but in all seriousness, and for those actually, you can go watch the full interview on YouTube and let us know what you think. If you haven't seen it, it was for me. It was really great to just in person get to meet David Rubenstein, but also the passion he has for the city of Baltimore, the community, how he wants to see this move forward. And also for me on a personal level, seeing, I can tell, and you could hear it in my dad's words, but he's very excited. And there's a lot to be excited about moving forward with this team. And so please go check that out if you will. I think we're going to see hopefully a lot more of you guys for the rest of the season. That's our ultimate goal. And I think the last thing I'll say with that, with as far as the ownership, I don't expect any drastic changes this year. Right. This is everything's in place. You'll let us baseball people do what they need to do. And then we'll look towards 2025 and 2024. It's still a team that is well equipped to make a run. And there's a reason why the Orioles are being picked by some, including us, to go on and win the World Series. Last thing I wanted to say, I saw Justin, appreciate it. I wish that Mr. Rubenstein understood what you yelled, but yell it from the rooftops that you love the Ryan Ripken Show. Yeah, and not just the David Rubenstein, but we appreciate all that support. We have a few other things that I saw this, and we'll end with this part. Houston looked like they were going to win yesterday, and the Yankees came back and won. We're going to add some more parts to the Ryan Ripken Show about talking about the AL East because, just face it, the Orioles are going to see a whole hell of a lot of it, and it's going to be a battle to repeat as 2023 champ. Sorry, it's going to be a battle to win the AL East for a second consecutive year. Yeah. Whammy. Any final words, guys, before we get on out of here?
I'm so happy baseball season is back. That's my biggest takeaway from all of this. It just, you can feel it in the air. It just, everything is incredible right now. I was actually watching baseball all day today as well. So yes, Joe, while also drinking liquid IV. So it's just been it's just great to have baseball back. It's the best time of year.
Yeah. Got to shout out Don too. Yeah.
Don is always. Don, if I could shake your hand, we have that gif of Cedric, Zach, of being like, I just want to touch him, and give him a hug every time I see him. I want to shake your hand. That's how we feel. That's one of my favorite said gifs. There'll be a lot more of those. But Don says, Ryan, the interview at the warehouse with your dad and Mr. Rubenstein was a curtain call for that awesome guest-filled live stream. You did great. We did great, Don. None of that happens without the group that we have. I just had to try to not fuck it up. Excuse my language, but that was my goal, was just, could I go out there and try to just sound good? Because the rest of the guys behind were going to make the product and push it out the way that they were. So Zach and Kevin and Brad literally putting on 8 hats at once doesn't get done without the group. And this is why we're not done here for the rest of the year. We're not done here. We like to think the Ryan Ripken Show is going to the moon, and we want you to go to the moon with us. Is that a fair way to end this show, guys? What do you think?
100%. Also, I do want to shout out the Discord just to get that out there as well. I'll put the link right now. It's in the chat. You can join up, and we're trying to get better. I think we have gotten better at getting in there and putting content. We put all of our shows out there. So I put the notification to have, I think can I pin this in the chat? Is there a way for me to pin the comment up there?
Nope.
No, I don't know how I can, but you can go in there and we engage in there. It's really fun. It's a fun time. We have rooms for football chatting. So for the Ravens, my government name is Locked On Ravens. So we do talk about football sometimes, but obviously it's Orioles season. So this baseball room, I think there was a watch along that happened in there yesterday as well. Yeah. That is awesome. I think who put that together? Was that Rolling with Rocker did that? I think it was. So shout out to Rolling with Rocker.
This is what it is. We're building the community within the community. So come over to the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We're going to keep building it up, and we're going to keep bringing you guys a lot of different content. And keep in mind, we are always going to keep our Maryland roots, right? But we're going to talk about other sports too and spicy topics because we like to talk about them too. And are we going to do stupid events and competitions? Probably on the show upcoming, but I promise we will have a lot of time carved out for Baltimore and Maryland sports, specifically with the Baltimore Orioles. So hit that like and subscribe button as we head on out of here. If you're on X, hit that follow button. You have at Chaos Striker 34. Zach got the memo of putting his handle on there at Zach Bollinger 18. And then I'm at Ryan Ripken. And guys, you know my motto, but have a day, have a night, have a freaking stinking weekend, and we will see you possibly earlier than Monday for another episode of the Ryan Ripken Show.
Boom, bam.
Bam. Yeah, we don't have the music.